Hello, everyone who's watching at home. I'm pretty sure we're live now. I've got a cat on me. He's joining us today. But more importantly, we've got Grandad Owen, live and direct.
Hello, grandchildren, one and all.
So I'm sure a lot of our watchers know who you are. But for those who don't, who are you?
Well, I'm trying to remember when I started back at Royal Holloway, 2016. So I did my undergraduate and masters back when, and beginning of undergraduate was when Rams was fully underground. I don't think there was a Rams when I was in first year, and it all started underground in second year when I got a random message from my friend Hannah, who told me about some random guy had told everyone who liked rock and metal to meet up at the Foresters Arms. So I went along, and the society was born shortly after. Great times. Been there since day two, I think.
You were in second year. I was in first year, maybe.
Yeah, you must have been in first year then, because I did meet you back when we were underground, very underground.
Yeah, I was there a bit after a few people, but we were still pretty sneaky back then. And I think I saw a fair few Hawkwind patches on your jacket, and I was drawn to you. as magnetism. As someone who clearly has fantastic taste in music.
That's me.
Now, for those who don't have quite such fantastic taste in music, today we're going to be doing a little introduction to Hawkwind, which is definitely both of our favorite bands, pretty much.
Best band of all time.
Best band of all time. You heard it here.
Yeah,
I do agree with you. So Hawkwind, formed in late 1969 by Dave Brock on guitar and Nick Turner, most notably, on... sorry, there's a cat's licking himself. On sax and the flute. And they were early pioneers of a genre called space rock that had only really before then been dabbled in by Pink Floyd in their album The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And I think the most... Yeah, sorry?
I think you can also throw in Pink Floyd, Saucer Full of Secrets, one of their songs, Set Your Controls for the Heart of the Sun. Again, it is a classic sort of spacey themed song.
And I think one of the most commercially successful space rock albums is probably Bowie's Space Oddity.
Yes,
that's pretty spacey. And even some of Pink Floyd's later stuff is like Metal is pretty spacey, even though they sort of changed the theme of it a bit. I'm catless now, so we can get on with this. He started trying to bite me, so I kicked him.
He's had a better offer.
Yeah, the floor, or actually my bed, as it turns out. So Dave Brock cites krautrock as one of his biggest influences. I don't know about you, but I quite like a fair bit of krautrock as well.
Yeah, particularly Kraftwerk.
Yeah, Kraftwerk are probably one of my favorite bands. And krautrock was birthed by a lot of Germans after the war who wanted to make music that wasn't really associated with the parents who fought in the war. And it's kind of a blend of psychedelia from the West with electronica and quite freeform jazz. And it's definitely a very strange genre, not easy to get into. But for those who are interested, we'd both recommend Kraftwerk, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we can also recommend Neu and Can are also one of Hawkwind's biggest influences. So
yeah, and of course, if you
think of them.
Haven't discovered Pink Floyd by now, you probably should have. So
you're probably living under a rock, whether you like them or not.
It's always worth reading.
Worth having a look at. Yeah, for sure. And Space Oddity too. Who doesn't like Space Oddity? So Hawkwind's first album. Now, this is one of the... In fact, funny enough, Hawkwind's first album was one of the later ones I listened to. It definitely wasn't the one I started with. But here it is. Hawkwind's title album.
Got all of the classic psychedelic tropes on there. You got cactuses and lizards, I think.
Yeah, lizard people, leaves.
Yeah.
We're not going to say what leaves they might be, but...
No.
I'm sure they're pretty dank. Cracking album cover. And after I listened to it, I really liked it, despite the fact that it's definitely not... I don't want to say it's not very Hawkwind, because obviously it is very Hawkwind. But it's nice and soft, psychedelic.
Yeah, it's not... It's... In some ways, it's both more polished and sort of less polished than their later stuff. They're still trying to find their niche, but it's got some really good songs on it, particularly the title track.
Definitely trying to
Hurry on Sundown.
Yeah, Hurry on Sundown is definitely one I'd recommend for those who want to give that album a listen. Give the first song a listen if you like the style. It's worth going into the album. There's some prog epics. There's a 10-minute song called Seeing Seeing It As You Really Are. And that's a good track.
That's really good.
So that album wasn't particularly successful, unfortunately, but it did lead to some popularity in the underground scene. And their guitarist Hugh Lloyd Langton had a bit of a bad acid trip after the album at the Isle of Wight festival and got trapped within a tent that fell on him while he was tripping. And he ended up leaving the band.
Is that the one he left for several years? I mean, just didn't see him again. Yeah.
Lemmy did say, I knew the guitarist because he took 8 tabs of acid and we never saw him for 5 years. So,
to be fair, he probably didn't stop moving for all of those 5 years.
If I was trapped in a tent on 8 that was collapsing on me on 8 tabs of acid, I probably would want to take a break from life for a little bit. Now, what I consider to be their masterpiece, In Search of Space, 1971, came out after it. Lemmy was introduced as their bass player on this album, and definitely one of their more successful albums, and kind of brought them into the light as a big band. You like this album?
I do indeed like this album.
Got to.
Got Search of Space. Yeah, I really like this album, and of course you've got Silver Machine from it, which is the it's probably their most famous song. It is really good. Machine. It's really good. But it's a shame that some people sort of have discovered that song and then didn't move
further.
On. But yeah, it is
their better stuff.
Completely taken out of the Hawkwind context. It's still a fantastic song. It's still being covered a lot today.
Yeah, and when people think Hawkwind, I think they think of that song, which again is sad, but that's the song you've probably heard of if you haven't heard of them before. Master of the Universe classic, I'd recommend that from this album particularly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, you can really hear them start to experiment with a heavier sound. And I think having Lemmy playing bass on it just exacerbated that. And they really started to get a bit hard rock at this point. Now, I don't actually have the next album with me. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do.
No, I don't have. I've got the T-shirt, but I haven't got the.
Yes, you do. That's good.
Haven't got the album on that one. But you've got stuff like you have the absolute classic that is Urban Gorilla, of course.
Yep. In fact, if you've been into the pub and heard, I'm sure someone's put that on at some point.
Yeah, it's nearly always me.
The BBC didn't actually allow it to be played when it was first released because of the IRA bombings, which were happening. Which were happening around the same time.
So I suppose that makes sense.
Despite the track being like another one of their most popular tracks. I can see we've got some comments in the Twitch chat, but I'm just trying to load my Twitch so I can have a look. Yeah, good album. Another one that gets a bit harder, but I think most importantly, it led to the tour that produced Space Ritual, which is the definitive Hawkwind, in my opinion. Oh, it's just Tanya. Hello, Tanya.
All right, Tanya.
All right, Tanya. Tanya likes a bit of Hawkwind.
Yeah. I mean,
who doesn't?
No one who stays around for long around me.
If they stay around for long, they've got to either like Hawkwind. It's like Marmite.
Yeah. But it's either you like it or you absolutely love it. In this case,
Space Ritual is fantastic, and in my opinion, is the definitive Hawkwind experience. If you want to get into them, start with this album. It goes through so many tracks.
You've got quite a lot of the Calvert vocals on that, and of course,
and some interesting spoken word stuff.
Yeah, Calvert. That's Robert Calvert, South African poet. He's also worth looking up in his own right. I quite enjoy his poems. Some of his solo stuff's really good. I'm trying to remember. Oh yes, Captain Lockheed and the Starfighters is a really good album. That's Calvert. But yeah, it's all good listening all around. Really good vocals.
Yeah.
Very interesting way of spoken word, which I quite appreciate.
Yeah, that's why I think it's more of an experience, because it combines all of the heavy rock stuff. It's hard. You can hear Lemmy going away on the bass, and then you've got nice atmospheric breaks with just instrumentals and Bob Calvert on just giving some poetry. And it is whack. It's really wacky.
Yeah.
It honestly is sad. I couldn't see the concert myself, and not just because the lady on the front cover had no top on.
Yeah, it's always a plus.
No, I actually saw them live. I've actually seen Hawkwind live a few years ago, and there were no titties.
I saw them.
Not to say they weren't good.
Yeah. No.
Wait, when did you see them?
I saw them 2016 on the. Oh, did I see them in 2016? Yes, on the was it 2017? I've forgotten, but the album was the Into the Woods tour, which was really good. That was my first. I haven't seen actually many bands. That was my first concert.
Yeah, neither have I, to be honest.
It was
I
absolutely amazing. I went to the middle of London with absolutely no one but I knew. Got lost twice trying to get there. Ended up there. Lost my tickets. Had to find my tickets again. I probably brought the average age down by quite a bit. I was only about 18 at the time.
I was going to say, were there a lot of hairy men there?
There were. Luckily, everyone I met was fantastic. And my favorite moment was I was stuck somewhere at the back, and they were doing. This was the end. This was when they were doing Silver Machine, and I was chatting to the person next to me, saying I'd never seen them before, and he just sort of yelled out, "Can everyone move? He's never seen them before," and they just sort of parted like the Red Sea, and I was right at the very front. It was
the Red Sea of bearded gentlemen.
Yeah, very true.
Absolutely. So what you on about them, but they've definitely got a good community behind them.
Yeah, met some really nice people there.
Yeah,
it was great.
I saw them 2017 or 2018. I'm not sure. At Desert Fest, I think.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah. It wasn't just them. They were just headlining this Desert Rock festival, and they were pretty good. I was a bit monged at the time, but I distinctly remember a few tracks, especially from Quite Strange and Charm. I just can't. Oh, what tracks did they play? I remember Damnation Alley they played, and that was pretty spectacular.
That's great.
I don't know why. I wasn't as into them at the time, but I still like to cite actually having seen them as a something cool that I've done. Yeah, no titties though.
Of course not.
Hall of the Mountain Grill. You've got that album, haven't you?
One of my one of my absolute favorites. I think every single song on this is incredible. My favorite is probably D Rider, just because again it's quite bizarre. It's very soft.
Yeah, it's very psychedelic.
It's very sort of fantasy elements. You can just put it on and you drift off to some sort of mythical land, which is incredible. You got that. You've got Psychedelic Warlords, Disappearing Smoke, which is incredible. Again, that's a really good one if you want to get into something a bit different. It's a little bit louder. It's a little bit hard rock.
You can a bit more Lemmy influenced.
Yeah, a bit more Lemmy.
Like you say, hard rock. Lost Johnny as well. Which
I was going to say if you want to do the hard rock Lemmy route, then you've got to start with Lost Johnny.
The hard rock Lemmy route of Hawkwind.
Yes, which was, if I remember correctly, Motorhead actually covered Lost Johnny on their I forgot what the album's called. Oh yes, on Prol 1979. They did a cover of that. Really good.
Not as good as the original though.
No, it's a little bit louder. It's a little bit faster. It's a little bit more Lemmy. But,
much like all of Motorhead's covers of Hawkwind songs.
Yeah, I mean,
which all aren't as good as.
They're all very good in their own right, but
yeah, it's distinctly Lemmy. But I also am someone who can't help but say that Motorhead's version of Motorhead is not as good as Hawkwind's version of Motorhead.
Hawkwind's version of Motorhead is better than Motorhead's version of Motorhead on the album Motorhead.
Absolutely. From the album Motorhead. Weird fact.
Violin solo. Yes. Weird fact about Motorhead is I only discovered Motorhead through Hawkwind. which is apparently very weird.
I knew about Motorhead before.
Everyone else I know seems to have known about Motorhead, then gone backwards to Hawkwind, but I went the other way.
Yeah, my dad's a big fan of Motorhead and Hawkwind, but I just remember listening to Motorhead before Hawkwind. I guess they were just a bit more
fantastic.
They were a bit simpler, a little less nuanced for the younger mind to adapt to. I'm sure I'm going to get so many complaints.
No,
like, what are you saying? In fact, particularly from Tanya.
They're both.
She's probably going to say that. Yeah, both good. Both worth listening to, but this is about Hawkwind, so sod off, Lemmy.
This is the Hawkwind.
Speaking of Lemmy sodding off, Warrior on the Edge of Time.
Well, I don't have this album, but I've got where's my little?
I've got the album and the t-shirt, and I know you've got a pin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing that pin.
Oh, there's my Hawkwind patch as well.
Very nice.
This is such a great album.
This is one of the albums that really got me into Hawkwind.
This was the first one I ever listened to. Actually, the first song I ever listened to, Hawkwind. I remember.
I know you say that Magnu.
Magnu. I just finished. I don't know why I remember this, but I do. I just finished listening to Aces High by Iron Maiden on the classic YouTube, and then it was recommended to me afterwards. I thought, oh, this is cool, and it is.
Wow, this band sounds cool. Hawkwind.
Yeah. I remember actually telling my dad, I was like, "Oh, Dad, let's go to a new band," and I said Hawkwind. He's like, "Wow, that's pretty old." But yeah,
I remember when I had my own little like musical revolution. I was talking to my dad, and I was saying, "Oh, have you heard of this band called the Velvet Underground?" He's like, "Yeah, of course I have." And I thought I found some new music that my dad might like, but no, no, sadly not. But this album is absolutely cracking. Definitely, I remember listening to it on a train and thinking, "Wow, I think I'm a Hawkwind fan now." My dad's finally done it after 19 years of me being alive.
Absolutely,
I can consider myself Hawkwind.
Magnu, and then if you listen to the double whack of Assault and Battery and The Golden Void, it's just like 10 or 12 minutes of just absolute bliss.
And just drums going off.
Yeah.
In fact, this was the Drum Empire album. Lemmy did say Drum Empire because they had two drummers on this album.
They did, because one of them...
They had Simon King and Alan Powell.
Was this the one where he fractured his ribs?
I think
got the other one in as a replacement, and then recovered
the other guy
came to rejoin them on the final
so they had two drummers.
You don't get a lot of that in two of anything really. I think the other thing I can think of off the top of my head is Wishbone Ash did two lead guitars, if I remember correctly. But I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I'm sure
King Gizzard used to have two drummers.
Yeah, they did.
And we'll be talking about King Gizzard later as one of the bands who kind of came after Hawkwind. But and I saw on Spotify you've been listening to their stuff recently.
I have. Crumbling Castles. It's amazing.
Polygon Dawnland is a great album. Not that I'm stalking you, of course.
I've had to downgrade from premium to free again, but I'll be back up at the end of the year. No. Once it hits January,
we all pray for you, soldier.
Getting that as premium back. But yeah, then after Warriors on the Edge of a Time, the next one of my, I think both of our favourites is of course 1980s Levitation.
Yeah, but before that we've got
we got
Astounding Sounds, Amazing Music, and Quark's Strange and Charm between 1976 and 1979.
Yeah,
there are some other albums here, like Pixar 5, but I haven't actually heard this album. I'm sure it's not too bad.
It's really good.
Listen to it.
It's really good.
If you like
want something slight difference, it's amazing.
What year was this album?
Oh, my brain's gone.
It says 2009 at the back of the box. That's unhelpful. Yes. PXR5.
1979.
1979.
Okay. Still,
so we're definitely getting towards the Amazing 70s, but still getting towards the electronic. Really starting to get towards the electronic side of things.
I mean, which makes sense because Brock is a big fan of the oscillators and just electronica in general. Which makes a lot of sense,
is whole part of space rock is all the sounds and sound effects.
Hawkwind,
yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Quark's Strange and Charm, good album, quite science quite sciencey, but also quite easy to get into. I feel it's a bit more poppy.
It's a good beginner's one if you want to just get into the title track. It's very simple.
Yeah, Quiet Strange and Charm, very poppy, but it's still got that Hawkwind twinge to it that makes it really listenable. Really good one to stick on as well if you're trying to play some stuff for your friends, and they'll always say
if you're like me and you're always trying to sneak that Hawkwind song into the Christmas playlist
into the aux queue. Yeah, Quiet Strange and Charm, and some other good ones on there: Damnation Alley, Spirit of the Age, and Hassan-i Shabar. Good ones to listen to.
Is incredible. I remember
Hassan-i Shabar. Yeah,
I remember
for those who may partake. That's a good one to stick on when doing so.
I remember.
Carry on. Sorry.
I used to listen to that on the way back from school. Actually, back on the school bus. That's a really good one. It's fantastic. We always tried to get people to listen to that album, but mostly fell on deaf ears.
Yeah. Astounding Sounds, amazing music. Another one that, if you like them, give them a listen. Probably not the first one I'd go towards.
Is that a Douglas in the Jungle?
Reefer Madness, Steppenwolf, City of Lagoons, Aubergine the 8 Rangoon, Curb Crawler, Cadu Flyer.
That's the one.
Chronoglide Subway.
Yeah, I'll be Aubergine. That's really good.
Yeah.
Again,
quite an interesting album. Very Hawkwind. Yeah, very wacky. Obviously, I mean, the first track's called Reefer Madness. What do you expect?
It's insane. It's the same vein as the other albums, but they just turn up the Hawkwindiness up.
Yeah, Hawkwind 211 on that album. Yeah.
It's probably the most Hawkwind of Hawkwind.
And now, I can tell you're desperate to talk about Levitation.
Oh, right. So,
cracking album.
Particularly the title song, Levitation, and my personal favourite on the album, Who's Gonna Win the War, which is fantastic.
Who's Gonna Win the War is another one of those signals that if you don't have the time, have a look at Who's Gonna Win the War. That's a great single to just listen to.
I'm just going to jump in there and say, if you haven't got the time, you should make the time for this album.
Yeah. If you haven't got the time, what are you doing? I mean, come on. Yeah. If there's one thing you're going to dedicate your life to, it should be Hawkwind, frankly.
Yes. Everything else comes second.
Everything. Yes. And in fact, this is the album that had Ginger Baker playing drums.
Yes.
So if you're a fan of Cream and I was going to say if you're a fan of Ginger Baker, but he's quite an unpleasant gentleman.
But if you are a fan of Cream, definitely give this a look up, and vice versa if you're a fan of this album and oddly have yet to discover Cream. This is definitely an opportunity to go and discover it.
Yeah, cracking album. Levitation, Motorway City, Who's Going to Win the War? All good tracks. Valium 10 is another one.
That's the one. If you
listen to the krautrock stuff, yeah, that's the one that starts with the dentist. If you like the krautrock stuff, Valium 10 is very krautrocky. Lots of repeating vocals, odd noises, heavy riffs.
It's got the whole shebang.
Yeah, and so in fact, Levitation was the album that came out after Hawkwind had broken up already once, and this is the album they reformed it and played it too. Big lineup changes at this point, and I think from here on, the band kind of. It's definitely not the band that it was when they started, and I think Levitation is the album that kind of marks that.
Different eras of Hawkwind. Although, to be honest, that's only really to be expected. I had to do my homework for this because my brain won't hold these numbers. It's got over 33 studio albums. It's got over 47 members, and it's got over 45 different lineups, which is
and if you're a new person looking at Hawkwind. And you go onto the Spotify, there's so many albums. And it is frankly intimidating.
Mess of trying to find anything.
It's a nightmare.
I was going to try and find a list of the members for this meeting, but of course we'd be here all night. The only constant member is, of course, Dave Brock, who was there at the very start.
Dave Brock.
And still there today.
Yeah, and I saw him, and he was there when they played live.
Yeah.
Dave Brock, my man.
Came out on stage in sandals and a straw hat.
That's how you know which one's Dave Brock. The one with the straw hat and sandals, looking like he's literally straight out of the 70s.
Yeah.
What's even worse is half of the albums aren't even done properly in the proper order. Quiet Strange and Charm is put down as 2009.
Is
And
that
Church of
because of
Hawkwind is
the
2010.
re-release of
Yeah,
reorder?
it's probably because of the. It's probably, in fact, I think mine says on it 2009, and they probably are just lazy and don't care about Hawkwind, which is sacrilegious, frankly, and just
Yeah,
put down.
My
2009,
Hall
yeah.
of the Mountain Grill just has 2001 stamped on the back. I mean, it definitely didn't come out in 2001. It most definitely came out in I've forgotten when it was now. My brain, I'm going to get crucified.
Hall
for
of the
this,
Mountain
but
Grill,
yes,
74.
74. I was going to say 76 for some reason, but that's not
Careful.
Yeah, I know. I'm showing my weakness. But yeah, they do change a lot of lineups. You've got different sounds once you hit the 80s.
Yeah, absolutely, and the electronic part really comes a lot more into it, and I think that's a good time to talk about albums like Church of Hawkwind, which is a cracking album, and it's almost clubby, almost EDM, not quite EDM, but it's very electronic-y.
Would you describe it as the pop Hawkwind?
Whether it's pop is a different matter. I mean, obviously, it's quite of its time. And 1982, this was, and a lot of the tracks are just. It's still got the Hawkwind touch to it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it still sounds. Again, a lot of the early stuff still sounds really futuristic in the way it's done. I mean, if you put 1982 up with something like a lot of stuff from Iron Maiden or Motorhead, it sounds it's very, very far removed. But again, it sounds different to the early Hawkwind, and again, very different from later Hawkwind.
Yeah, they developed. I mean, it's a band that's been going since 1969, so they're going to have a different sound. But yeah, Church of Hawkwind, lots of tracks that are really quite short. I mean, it's 17 tracks and it's 1 hour long.
Yeah,
but it's quite experimental.
It's quite short for anything psychedelic. Really?
We've got some questions actually that I've been ignoring because we're just rambling about Hawkwind.
Right.
Thanks, Tanya, for asking all these questions
off to me because I'm having a slight issue with my.
Yeah, of course. Are there any albums past Church of Hawkwind that you think are still reminiscent of OG Hawkwind, or do you think there's just been too much change? That's a good question.
You're gonna have to answer that question. You're gonna have to remind me when Church of Hawkwind came out because it's been a while since I've listened to that one.
82.
82. Yes. Okay. So now we're getting on to the big boys. My second favorite Hawkwind album, 1985, A Chronicle of the Black Sword.
Chronicle of the Black Sword, yes, with
Michael Moorcock.
What's his name? Michael Moorcock.
This is incredible album. If you're a fan of science fiction, fantasy, any kind of fantasy tropes, magic swords, ancient demons, magical jewels, wizards, princesses, anything, this is incredible. In fact, when I wrote down my crib sheets to remember to tell you my favorite songs under Chronicle of Black Sword, I've just written the entire album.
Yeah, the album.
You've got the Song of Swords. Sea King is fantastic. That's quite a good one to introduce people to. You've got Elric the Enchanter. My personal favorite, Zarazenia, that's amazing. Oh, sorry, if you know about Black Sword, I should tell you, it's a concept album based on the
one of his books, isn't it?
Yeah, it's based on a series by an author called Michael Moorcock, called the Elric of Melniboné cycle. Utterly fantastic, and in fact, during some of their tours, they got Michael Moorcock in to do some of the vocals. And if you're into Michael Moorcock, check out his other band, The Deep Fix, which again, very similar to Hawkwind. Really good.
Yeah.
But that's an utterly incredible album.
Choose Your Master as well from 1982. Sort of same period. A bit rockier than Church of Hawkwind, a bit less experimental, but another good one. Cool album covers as well, I have to say.
Yes.
Hawkwind's album covers are pretty stellar.
All the album covers are amazing.
Now, speaking of a return to early Hawkwind, I think we might want to talk a little bit about Hawklords.
Yeah.
Who were sort of the band that reformed with a lot of the original members of Hawkwind in a sort of attempt to.
It's sort of like I don't know. I'm trying to think how you describe it. It's like a sort of an extra Hawkwind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they had a lot of issues with their like not the managers, but the licensing people. So they had to rebrand, but they came out with Hawklord's album 25 Years On.
That is
interesting album cover.
fantastic. You've got
but it's got some great tracks on it.
Yeah, you've got my personal favourite, The Age of the Micro Man, which is I've sent that one to you earlier. It's really good.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did actually.
Yeah, that's what I was listening to in preparation for this.
Yeah, Hawklord's still torn that out, and my friend he's seen Hawklord's a lot. Tech Wizard, get up Hawklord's 25 Years On as your for the album cover, because that's a good album. And I think I'm not sure are there any other particular albums to mention. I know they brought out an album last year, didn't they?
Yeah, All Aboard the Skylark.
All Aboard the Skylark, 2019.
I know, modern. I really enjoyed it. I'm
naturally skeptical at such modern offerings.
It's different to the others. It's a lot softer. It's a lot obviously it's less so much Hall of the Mountain Grill and more actually I find it quite similar to the very first Hawkwind, if I'm honest. It's very soft, it's very quiet. Really
soft
good
psychedelia.
album, yeah, it's really good, easy listening. If you're doing something else at the time, pop it on. I think I got through most of it doing the massive bout of washing up. But then again, you can listen to most things doing washing up. But I really enjoyed it. And before that, they had my brain's gone blank. I think it's The Machines. So was that 2000? No, 2016. Yeah, The Machine Stops is a really good modern Hawkwind.
Oh yes, that's another modern one, isn't it? Yeah.
You've got a Solitary Man.
2016.
Yeah, track 12 on the album. That's amazing. I think that's actually one of their best songs, personally. Got that. You've got In My Room. You've got King of the World, and another really good one, All Hail the Machine, which is another sort of spoken word one. So very, very reminiscent of something from the Calvert era, which is that's one. That's really good.
Tony says Carnivorous was released this year by the Hawkwind Live Orchestra. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, really enjoyed that.
Again, I raised my eyebrow in skepticism.
But now we're on to the big question. Are they, in the next couple of albums they're going to do, most likely, are they going to reach the heights of the early 70s?
I'm going to raise my eyebrow and say no. Unfortunately not. I think that just generally the Hawkwind era has passed, which is sad. But that said,
I'm going to remain,
all the albums they recorded are still there.
Yeah, I'm going to remain confident and say it's going to be amazing, because I think I've enjoyed all of the albums. There have been a few I haven't listened to as much as the others. So Blood of the Earth, Electric. I really liked Electric TP, and then Alien 4 I haven't listened to very much, if I'm honest. But
I mean, I'm just a grumpy git, and if it's new, I'm naturally skeptical.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. But again, to be honest,
let's put it this way: if you're first listening to Hawkwind, don't start there.
Start with.
We're not saying they're bad. Yeah, where would you say? So I want to listen to Hawkwind for the first time. I've never heard them before. Where do I start?
Well, it depends. It depends what you're into.
Because we've got 5 listeners now.
Yeah, all of them. We're running with the big boys now.
Yeah. All you listeners, pay attention to this. This is important.
Yeah. So it depends what you're into, I suppose. If you're coming in fresh off the boat from Motorhead Town, you're probably going to enjoy some of the harder rock stuff with Lemmy. So I'd recommend Hall of the Mountain Grill.
I'd say Hall of the Mountain Grill. If you're coming from Motorhead, Hall of the Mountain Grill is where you start.
Warrior on the Edge of Time. If you're looking for a little bit of that sort of a experimental.
I'd say the same as well. Yeah. If you like the harder rock stuff, Warrior on the Edge of Time is pretty solid, but it also introduces a lot more of the spoken word segments.
Yeah, that's true. If you like your krautrock, so if you're coming in off the boat from Kraftwerk, Amon Gong, all of that goodness, you'll probably like In Search of Space or Space Ritual.
Yeah, and as well, Space Ritual is a good one all round, because it has so many of their different songs. It's got spoken word segments. It's very atmospheric. It's very Hawkwind.
Yeah.
And a lot of the versions on Space Ritual are actually better than the originals, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Down Through the Night. Down Through the Night has the Lemmy bass line really comes through, and I ended up trying to tab out the bass line in the live version because I just love listening to that so much. Organ Accumulator,
yes.
and Brainstorm as well. I think are better
Brainstorm's
on the Space Ritual version.
Although
Time You Left as well today as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. If you're looking for a obviously pure fantasy, I'm just going to plug Chronicle of the Black Sword again because it's just
Chronicle of the Black Sword. Yeah. If you like the more fantasy rather than but you still like the electronica side.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because if it's fantasy, is that still space rock or is that
rock.
just I don't know what you call it, rock, sword and sorcery
fantasy rock?
Yeah,
sorcery rock. Saucer rock.
I mean, apparently Tolkien metal is a genre now, so I suppose anything goes.
Proto Tolkien metal. The ones who did it before. Yeah, and now I want to talk about a few bands where you might want to go to after. So if you've listened to Hawkwind and you want to move on and you want to see where the genre of space rock developed. I mean, there's bands like Muse that are quite commonly called space rock. They're a bit too popular for me. They're quite popular in Rams. So Muse is obviously draws influence from Hawkwind. All the electronic noises they use, they're quite spacey.
Yeah, if you're looking for something that's very heavily inspired by Hawkwind, look no further than Monster Magnet.
Yeah, Monster Magnet and Caius are another band.
Caius.
The classic desert rock bands. They're not quite as electronic-y, but they've got that rough, dry sounding riff, pumping, the stuff that moves you into stoner rock. If you like the heavy stuff and you like the riffs,
I mean,
I'd suggest you go to desert rock.
If you like something like Goat Willow or Lost Johnny, then you're probably really going to enjoy Sleep anyway.
Yeah.
So put on Dope Smoker. You'll be there.
Put on Dope Smoker, and 70 minutes later you'll be ready for something else. Let's put it that way. But it is cracking.
I mean, and if you like just bands that have, I mean, first of all, there are loads and loads of bands which are formed from the members of Hawkwind. You've got Hawklord 1 and 2. You've got Nick Turner's Space Ritual. You've got
Amon Din as well. After Hugh Lloyd Langford left the band after his acid trip, he rejoined with some people from Amon Duel too and did more krautrock.
Yeah. If you look for stuff by either Harvey Bainbridge or Alan Davey, that's straight. Well, I suppose you could really call it Hawkwind stuff because they are. Oh yeah, there's Nick Turner. Quark Space. I really like Quark Space. And then just various other bands in the same sort of genre. If you're looking for something modern, I recommend Yuri Gagarin, which is just pure space electronica. Wonderful album.
I've not heard of them. But...
Yeah, they're really good. They're quite new, actually. And I want to say, I think they're Swedish. But of course,
I'm Googling them as we speak.
Yuri Gagarin. Absolutely incredible band. Again, it's great to drift off to sleep to. I know that doesn't sound like a good band, but it's really good for just relaxing to.
They sound pretty cool, actually. I'm gonna leave that up so I can listen to them later.
You've got your gong.
We've got another question. Tanya asks, is there a cover of a Hawkwind song you do like? I suppose it's probably directed at me, but
cover of a Hawkwind song I do like. I personally really like Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons rendition of Silver Machine.
Silver Machine I can see being pretty heavily covered.
Silver Machine's fairly I'm not going to say easy to cover, but I think anyone...
It's so well known that I think if people are going to cover Hawkwind songs, if people are going to cover the songs, I think Silver Machine is the one they'd go to because it's well known.
Yeah. I don't know, actually, and a great deal of other Hawkwind covers that I have listened to.
I can barely think of any. Hawkwind just do Hawkwind so well.
Yeah. That you don't need anyone.
No one can emulate them
when Hawkwind's there.
Exactly. And it's a style that a lot of people don't really want to emulate because Hawkwind already do it, and they do it, and Hawkwind do it perfect, as Hawkwind should do it.
I'd like to hear a cover of D Rider just to see.
That'd be cool. Maybe from a really totally out of the way band, like totally different genre. like a death metal band covering a Hawkwind song in their own style as well, not just doing some crappy cover that's just there.
A D-Rider by Taylor Swift.
Wow. Taylor Swift's Urban Gorilla.
Yeah,
now that
I'd listen to that.
I'd listen for as long as I could.
Yeah.
Now, the main band I want to mention, if you like them, are King Giz and the Lizard Wizard.
Absolutely incredible band.
Yeah, band getting big. Lots of albums. Something for everyone. Absolutely something for everyone. They've got 16 session albums now. Loads to listen to. They've got soft psychedelia stuff, much like Hawkwind's first album. They used to have 2 drummers, just like Hawkwind did. They're quite experimental. They like the electronic stuff. And Polygon's Land is really the album that you can hear draws a lot of inspiration from Hawkwind. Extended prog segments, nice technical instrumentals, spoken word segments. Just very atmospheric, very nice to listen to.
Yeah.
You petting your baby Yoda there?
I am petting my baby Yoda. I'm making sure he hasn't forgotten me. But yeah, I support everything you said about King Giz. But Giz is good.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands, and they're a band that's actually making music still. So
yeah, that's nice. It's always good to have a band.
Have you heard their new album?
I haven't actually. I'd have to remind me. I've been back in my folk metal roots recently.
Listening to you like the Finnish metal? You do, don't you?
Yeah, Kubaklani. Sorry, yeah. Kubaklani.
Trollfest.
Trollfest really good. Again, anything. If they're singing about trolls or alcohol or Vikings
or Tolkien,
and they're somewhere from Scandinavia, the odds are I'd probably listen to them. I'm a massive fan.
What have I been listening to? A lot of Tool, honestly. I've been in a bit of a Tool mood, which is hard to get me out of, frankly. But lots of Tool and lots of Hawkwind, actually. Good music to sit and work to. I've had a lot of just sort of research project work doing, so I've just been sat listening to Hawkwind, writing numbers down, trying to wake up. That's why I need a bit of Lemmy in my life.
Yeah,
driving those riffs,
to make you jump,
keeping me awake.
Yeah,
something to make me jump. Yeah.
How about going to throw a new band now? How about Jethro Tull? How's that been going for you?
Oh yeah, I've actually been listening to Jethro Tull recently because they're borderline Christmas music in some of their albums. I had Ring Out Solstice Bells on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
My mum doesn't like them, so I thought that'd be very Christmassy.
Oh, that's a shame.
She just doesn't like the way Ian Anderson sings.
Oh,
which I think is wrong. He is a bit nasally, but it's not in a bad way. He's a good singer.
Yeah, he's good.
Another band with just hundreds of loads of material.
Yeah, it has to be thick as a brick.
Talkwind episode 2 will get you back for the Jethro Tull sesh.
Yeah, Talkwind.
Talkwind.
Tull. That's what I've been listening to.
Urban Gorilla was covered by Primal Scream, says Tanya.
Ah, I did not know that. I will have to go and re-listen.
They must be the happy man listening on the jukebox.
Yeah,
considering that's basically all they've got.
Trying to think.
A Motorhead episode of Talkwind, she suggests.
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk.
We'll take your suggestions.
Although I haven't actually listened to as much Motorhead as I probably should have.
No, honestly, I never was that into Motorhead. I don't mind. I can tell you a few albums that I really like.
1916. It's incredible. Just for the song.
Oh, yeah?
1916. Yeah. Favorite album. Ooh. I
mean, I like Overkill. I think is my favorite.
Overkill. Yeah. Bomber.
Yep. We've got a framed vinyl of No Sleep Till Hammersmith downstairs at home.
Ah, it's lovely.
Courtesy of my dad. Yeah. In fact, Motorhead they covered Lost Johnny. I don't really like Motorhead's first album, to be honest. I think it's a bit samey.
I quite enjoy it.
I think it's all right. It's got some good tracks like Motorhead and Vibrator and Lost Johnny on it.
And of course,
and the Watcher.
The track.
And Iron Horse.
Iron Horse, and of course the track Motorhead, of course, has the word Christmas in it, which makes it a Christmas song.
It's a Christmas song, yeah.
It is a Christmas song.
Goes up like prices at Christmas.
Yeah.
Classic.
It's true.
Unfortunately, I think White Line Fever is just a rip off of Motorhead, and a few of the other songs are a bit snooze. But yeah, I think Overkill is good.
Having said that, I'm a big fan of Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons.
I like it.
Which is of course from Phil Campbell from Motorhead. They did they supported Hawkwind when I went to see them. Really impressive.
Filthy Phil.
Yeah. Well, no, hang on.
No, that's Phil Taylor.
That's Phil Taylor. I'm getting confused there. But yeah, really good. Very loud. They played We Are the Road Crew, so it's all good for me.
Well, did you see them live? Sorry.
Yeah. They supported Hawkwind when I saw them on the
dude, that's awesome.
Into the Woods tour. So I sort of saw pre-Motorhead, after Motorhead, but obviously not Motorhead, unfortunately.
That's the lineup. I saw Monster Magnet when I saw Hawkwind at the same time.
That's got to be good. That's got to be really good.
Yeah, that was good. I remember more.
I like Monster.
Fun enough, I actually remember more of Monster Magnet than I do of Hawkwind.
What?
It's because I wasn't into Hawk. Who? Monster Magnet.
Yeah.
Oh, they just played stuff. I mean, they're all getting on a bit.
It's a shame, but that's happening to Hawkwind as well, if I'm honest.
Of course. I mean, Dave Brock is 79.
I mean, they've consistently put out pretty much a new album, or at least a new. They've at least put out music every year in some form or another. So I have no doubt that it's going to continue.
Yeah, I think they just need some. I think the light orchestra thing they're going for is probably the way to move on.
I really enjoyed that.
Even if it's not to my taste.
It was a nice little treat during lockdown.
Yeah. I know I was reading some article that's talking about it, and they were like, "Oh, some song they wrote about their experiences during lockdown." And I thought, not really for me, but I'm sure some people like it.
That's what's great about Hawkwind is that there's so many different songs, so many bizarre things they do.
Yeah, there's something for everyone.
Whatever
much like
type of music you like, there'll be at least one song in Hawkwind that you're like, yes, that's my song. For me, that's Magni, but that's just me. And
I think for me, that's oh god, I'm gonna have to get the albums up. You've got to fill some time so we don't have any dead air while I have a look at some Hawkwind songs and
trying to refresh your memory.
And choose the song for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an album we haven't discussed that I really like. We haven't discussed Space Bandits, which is really good.
Oh god, there's a lot. I mean, if you look on Spotify, there's so many albums. Zones, Space Bandits.
Zones is good.
A load of albums that...
Recently, I tried, for the fourth time, trying to listen to all of their albums one after another over the course of like a couple of weeks. I always get to about halfway through. And then a new release from another band I like comes out, and I'm like, oh, I'll come back to Hawkwind after this, and then I keep forgetting to. But Zones is really good. Space Bandits is really good. But pretty much, I mean, it ties into a lot of music that I like anyway. I like a lot of the early. I mean, you know this, Felix, as does pretty much anyone at Rock Sock who already knows me. But I'm a big fan of pretty much anything from the early 70s. Hawkwind, Uriah Heep.
You like King Crimson too, right?
I do like King Crimson.
I'd say King Crimson probably another influence on Hawkwind, the more proggy side of the band.
I only discovered King Crimson, if I'm honest, when Saxon did a cover of In the Court of the Crimson King.
Wow.
I know we're getting this really weird. I'm a huge I absolutely love Saxon. They're amazing. I saw them live as well. That was incredible. That was really good.
The Battering Ram tour.
Oh, was it Battering Ram?
I remember them advertising the Battering Ram tour.
This was Thunderbolt. I saw them.
When was that?
Oh, I've lost my ticket stubs. Actually, I want to say 2000.
Your ticket stubs and your sense of time.
I know. I want to say 2018. I'm just actually, if we could get the tech wizard to find out when the Saxon Thunderbolt album was. It'll put me out of my misery.
And I think I'm going to go for I think The Time We Left This World Today.
Yes.
The version of that from Space Ritual is my favourite. 2017 and 2018. I'll go 2017 and Owen will go 2018.
Yeah, I
He's
was
got
there.
it.
I was there in February. In
Yeah, I
London,
was there.
watching him. Oh yeah,
That's cool, man.
back
That
in
is
my
cool.
day. But yeah, really good.
Tanya
But yeah.
requests a Talkwind episode on Saxon. I've never really listened to Saxon. Sorry, Tanya.
Saxon's
You'll have to
fantastic.
take over.
Yeah, I'll basically just do the whole thing.
The actual the thing that will link the Talkwind episodes won't be me. It will be you.
Yeah, I'll just be a constant. But yeah,
you'll be the constant.
If you like new wave or British heavy metal, if you like Metallica, if you like Motorhead, if you like Iron Maiden, listen to Saxon.
I do like Angel Witch.
Angel Witch is. I've got my on my back.
Yeah, you do,
patch.
don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, your jacket is just monstrous. So.
Yeah, I'm
Who
still.
isn't on there?
Actually, Sabotage at the moment. I've got a patch I keep meaning to sew on. I've got no space, so it's going on top of the Iron Maiden one.
No space, still Hammersmith.
That's the title for our debut album.
I like it. No space, still Hammersmith.
But yeah, Saxon's brilliant. They don't get as much love as they deserve. Angel Witch is fantastic. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else I've been listening to. A lot of Doom.
Oh yeah, I forgot we were talking about what we're listening to. Let me go my recently played on Spotify. Yeah, it's Tool. It's Tool and UFO.
I'll just
which makes me sound like the biggest knob in the world. Borderline dad rock and a band that is known for its horribly preachy fan base. Awesome.
Wait, is it?
And a bit of Ghost, actually. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, Ghost is fantastic.
There's some Ghosts in my recent listenings.
I love Ghost. They get a lot of hate.
They do. People call them pop metal.
It's not.
But I think that slanders them.
It is metal. It's
only because they're popular metal rather than they're like poppy metal. I don't know.
Yeah, it's because their look doesn't match how they sound.
Which is part of the fun. Like,
yeah, I mean they're great.
I really like Ghost.
You've got some really heavy songs on there. You've got Pinnacle to the Pit, Year Zero is my personal favorite.
Mummy Dust, I know it's a pretty heavy one, even though I don't particularly like it. Cerise is, I mean, a lot of them are pretty heavy actually. Spirit, most of Meliora is pretty heavy.
Yeah, their new album was really good. Actually, yeah, here we are.
Prequel
artists.
Prequel or a new album? Oh, I got excited.
Prequel. Their new one's meant to be coming out around summer this year. Oh, sorry, summer 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm on to my recent.
You can say
plays.
this year in a few days.
Yeah, we've got Kirith Ungol, which is utterly fantastic. We've got Skyclad, Hawkwind, of course, Udo, Blind Guardian, Fintroll, Blackmore's Night, Iron Butterfly, Candlemass,
nice,
and Wishbone Ash. Iron Butterfly is solid, really good.
You do earn your title of Grandad.
Yes, and of course, I can't leave without repping Kirith Ungol, which is amazing. It's again, all of their album art is inspired by the Elric of Melniboné books, which of course we were talking earlier with Chronicle of the Black Sword.
Chronicle of the Black Sword.
If you see a fantasy picture of a sort of an albino dude with weird armor and a massive black sword, it's probably Elric. It's probably worth listening to.
Big black sword.
Anything with Elric in it is worth reading or listening.
Nice. Well, I think we can probably wrap it up. We've covered all of Hawkwind.
Yeah.
We've covered all of Hawkwind. We've covered where Hawkwind came from and where you can go to if you like them.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. For those who joined us pretty late on, we'll just quickly wrap up the albums that we suggest listening to. So,
yes,
if you're into your heavy stuff, your Motorhead, we recommend you go Hall of the Mountain Grill, and we recommend Warrior on the Edge of Time. If you're into your lighter stuff, your sort of more krautrock, experimental electronic stuff, In Search of Space, Farso Latido, earlier stuff.
The first one, Space Ritual. Yeah.
Yeah, and no matter what, Space Ritual's one to listen to.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening.
Well,
we hope to see you next time on Talkwind.
Having me along.
We're really glad to have you along, man. Good to see you again.
It's nice to be back. I look forward to finding out what the next album we're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. We'll
If
we'll
it
have a
falls
we'll have a
underground
chat behind the
that
scenes.
rock, I'll talk about it. Oh, there we go. There's a tech wizard doing his stuff.
Tech Wizard's making some albums.
Yeah.
Get
Tech
Search of
Wizard.
Space big. You can cover me up with In Search of Space. Everyone says thank you. Kaylee says this was great. Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks
Kaylee.
everyone for joining.
Brilliant.
Give me some titties. And we miss you so much, says Tanya. Come on, make me big, Space Tech Wizard. Make Space Ritual big and cover me up with it because we want to see that. That's cool. Yeah, that's
yeah.
good. All right. That's a good
Can
end
we-
frame.
Is that censored image? Can we stream that
I
one?
think it's already censored, isn't it? I can't see. Oh no, there are nips. Don't look too hard if you're a Twitch mod watching this. Doubt you are, but
if
if
you're
you
under
are,
18,
don't look too
don't
hard.
look.
Yeah, that's a monstrous album cover, though, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
wow. That's
I
very
mean-
awkward. All right.
If we leave on one end note, all of the album art's amazing.
If we live on one thing, Hawkwind do fantastic album art and fantastic music, and they're worth a listen.
Astounding sounds, amazing music.
There we go. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.